Back here on Southeastern 16 with Jay Greeson. I'm Chase Robinson. We continue looking at schedules for our SEC football teams as we will preview the Auburn Tigers schedule. Jay Greeson, what is an important year for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers in 2025? You know, I think back to last year when we were doing these schedule previews. I looked at Auburn's schedule and I thought, okay, this is a favorable schedule for the Tigers. If they can manage it. Well, we know they didn't manage it that well. Before we really get into breaking down the schedule, just your initial thoughts on what's ahead for Auburn in 2025.
Well, we're still light years away from 2025. I think there's a lot of optimism within the fans that I know. Full disclosure, I went to school there. It's understandable. The offensive line is going to be better than it's been in years. Connor Lew, Jeremiah Wright, Dylan Wade on the inside. The addition of Xavier Chaplin from Virginia Tech in the portal. It was a good portal season. I am real curious to see who Auburn brings to SEC Media Days next week. I'm also real curious to see how Hugh Freeze answers what will assuredly be multiple questions about his golf game.
Yeah. That is very true. Let's take a look at this schedule that is in front of Auburn in 2025. Starts off a Friday night game, Jay, with the Baylor Bears to start things off. It's Baylor, Ball State, and South Alabama, the first three games. And that first one, though, on the road in Waco, Texas, and then home for two games before we really get into crunch time of the SEC. But what do you make of that opener there on a Friday night in August against Baylor?
Had a conversation. We did a live chat. We're recording this Monday afternoon, almost 2 Eastern. Did a live chat around lunch. And one of our great Southeastern 16 regulars asked, is at Baylor a must-win for Hugh Freeze? And my answer was simple. LSU plays at Clemson in week 1. Texas plays at Columbus to face the Ohio State University in week 1. And there is no SEC team who face a bigger must-win than the Auburn Tigers going to Waco on a Friday night because of the uncertainty, because of the hot seat, because of the uneasiness of a fan base dying for better, and because of the unknown and the bright spotlights on transfer quarterback Jackson Arnold, who is trying to return stability to a position that Auburn has not seen since maybe Jared Stidham was on the Plains.
Yeah, that's very true. I do think that is a very important game. I agree with you there. You see Ball State, South Alabama, both home games. And then you have back-to-back road games before a bye week at Oklahoma on the 20th. Then the next Saturday, you're in College Station against the Aggies of Texas A&M. I find this Oklahoma game, Jay, to be very, very important. Not only because it's the first SEC game, but because of Jackson Arnold coming over from Oklahoma. There's just a lot of storylines around this game, but to me, this is a huge, huge game in Norman, Oklahoma for the Auburn Tigers.
Could not possibly agree anymore. And you're right about the Jackson Arnold angle, especially returning to Norman. But let's be quite open about this. Auburn plays at Baylor, who's going to be among the teams picked to win the Big 12. Oklahoma in week 2 welcomes Michigan, who will be significantly better than they were a year ago. So both of these teams could be 2-1. And so one of them is going to start 2-2 and 0-1 in the league. And these are probably the two hottest seats in the conference. Do not undersell the pressure factor for what this is for both Brent Venables and Hugh Freeze in game 1 of the SEC slate.
It's a very valid point there. Two programs that really need to have a good year playing each other in the first SEC game. Yeah, one of them will start 0-1. And then the trip to College Station, always a tough place to play. It's going to be in that night window, which that's when A&M loves to have their home games there after dark. with the 12th man. But you look at this first portion of the schedule before you get to a bye week. You're at Baylor, at Oklahoma, at Texas A&M. You think back to last year, Auburn had like their first 5 games at home. This is a polar opposite of what we saw last year for Auburn.
And a real opportunity, because if you can find a way to get to the off week 4-1, if you're Auburn, knowing you still got Georgia and you still have Alabama, but they're both at home, you can be getting to convincing yourself, okay, if we split those, 10-2 is doable with the rest of the schedule that I know you're going to unveil here in a second. And then if you're 10-2 in the league, even if both of them are SEC losses, you're talking about being there in the mix for the playoff conversation.
No, there's no doubt. Yeah, there's you're exactly right. So they get a breather that first weekend in October. And here's an interesting section here. You start off your first game of October 11th will be against the Georgia Bulldogs. You get that one in Jordan-Hare. You get Missouri coming to Auburn, and then a trip to Arkansas. Kentucky comes to Auburn, and then to Nashville, to First Bank Stadium, take on Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Georgia and Missouri, Georgia being the tougher there, but you get back-to-back home games after your back-to-back road games for the bye week. Getting Georgia at home, I know, is always a good thing for Auburn.
Oh, it is, but let's be clear. Auburn has no leg to stand on in the last decade talking about competitive balance with the Georgia Bulldogs. Yes, the Deep South oldest rivalry before it got away from starting under Gus Malzahn was neck and neck, and they would always put up those amazing stats that not only was it separated by one game, but the combined total score of like 120 meetings was separated by 7 points. But in the last decade, Georgia has flexed. And will Auburn be a home underdog? Probably. But this could be, in terms of easing the hot seat conversation, beating Georgia would do nobody's going to ask Hugh Freeze about how good his chipping is or when was the last time he three-putted if he finds the way to beat the Georgia Bulldogs October 11th.
And then, like I mentioned, Missouri at Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Arkansas, Kentucky. Kentucky seems to be a team that's going to be towards the bottom. Arkansas, a mid-level to SEC team. Missouri, we don't know much about. Still trying to figure out Vanderbilt. What do you make of this 4-game stretch? Because again, we talked about that start of the season. If you're 4-1, you're feeling good. You get Georgia, and then you have this 4-game stretch where it's really, at this point, we're not talking about any of these teams being top-level SEC teams. This is also a very important chunk if they can take care of business in this middle part of the schedule.
If Hugh Freeze is being honest with himself, this has to be 4-0. This really needs to be, the toughest team among those 4 from October 18th to the first or the second Saturday in November is Missouri, and you have them at home. And now it's coming off Georgia. I get it. But that really, if Auburn is to get to a place where Hugh Freeze is going to be comfortable coming down the home stretch and being a consideration for maybe not the playoff, but assuredly a New Year's Day type of Florida bowl game, this really needs to be a 4-0 stretch.
Yeah,
it does. In all of those games, right?
Oh, yeah.
Unless the wheels fall off in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. I really do think they will be favored in all 4 of those games. Hugh Freeze might have trouble up in Nashville, though, with yes. Diego.
Yeah. I don't know if Diego officially gets invited to the Freeze family reunion, but we do know that he is Hugh Freeze's daddy.
Yeah, that's right. Then November 15th, another bye week for Auburn, and that leads into the last couple of games. Mercer will come to Jordan-Hare Stadium, and then the Iron Bowl this year in Auburn. So you get a bye week, then 2 home games to end the season, including the Iron Bowl. And we've seen some crazy Iron Bowls, Jay, when it's played there in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
I don't know the last time we didn't see a crazy one. And, it just feels like whether you're talking one Auburn extreme in the kick six or the unbelievable depths of 4th and 31. So no lead is safe. No favorite will have it easy. But I mean, dude, it could be noon on Saturday, November 29th. And I'm going to tell you point blank, I got no idea what's going to happen. So there's no way I can tell you what's going to happen now. But what I can say is 7-5 really should be the basement for what this schedule is for Hugh Freeze. And I really think for him to feel comfortable in a monstrous year, two things must happen. To feel comfortable, Jackson Arnold needs to play like the 5-star recruit he was coming out of high school, which will then kind of give a little, and I'm going to make up a word here, re-credence to Hugh Freeze being the offensive guru / quarterback whisperer. And he needs to win 8 games. They need to win 8 games. I don't want to hear about, well, we had injuries. Cam Coleman got hurt. I mean, I'm just spitballing names. He's one of Auburn's most important players by far. But there is no, well, what abouts? We've gone through 3 years of that now. And if it's not at 8, Hugh better be worried about any time he's get called into the principal's office.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So that is a look at the 2025 Auburn football schedule. And again, what is an important year for the Auburn Tigers. And we'll continue previewing Auburn and the rest of the SEC right here on Southeastern 16, gearing up for the 2025 season. So subscribe if you have not already. And I got to tell you about our friends at GameTime SIDEKICKS. That is where you need to go to get ready for this 2025 season, because that is your drinkware headquarters there. We've got them. We love them. And GameTimeSidekicks.com. They've got top of the market quality, double wall vacuum insulated, stainless steel, and all logo printing and product decoration done in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tons of designs and logos offered for each school. Even they have a college vault line. Very few brands have that. So everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce plus bottles and shaker cups. And you, the viewers, get a nice discount. Promo code SE16 for 20% discount to you, the viewers. Promo code SE16 for your 20% off discount. That is Game Time Sidekicks. We will be back with more of our schedule previews and getting ready for the 2025 season right here on Southeastern 16.